Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. I wanted to talk to you guys because I know, Jeannie, your mom has been really ill. And Kathy's mom has been in and out of ill. And I know a lot of people who listen have parents who are starting to decline or have already declined. And I wanted to see what that was like for you guys. What are your thoughts and feelings about this part of being an adult child of an ailing parent, perhaps failing ailing parent?
And I think both of us, because our parents aren't here.
I was just going to say, I feel like one of the hardest things is being on a different coast. Like trying to manage care for someone who's 3,000 miles away. Like that's really challenging.
Do you have siblings closer to your mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I have a sibling who is closer and a sibling who's further away. But my sibling who's closer, well, it doesn't really deal with it.
Is he a brother?
Yeah. I have two brothers. And he just doesn't. His wife does more so than him, but it falls to me.
And I think that that's pretty normal that it falls to the daughters.
Yeah.
If you have two sons, I feel like you're screwed.
When you get old, you're done.
But definitely, because my mom is back east, and I have a brother and a sister who both live very close to her, and it really pretty much falls on my sister, who's very close there. But my brother, every once in a while, I think will sense my sister's anger and resentment and step in and be like, do you need me to do this or do you need me to do that? But it's pretty much on my sister, but she's the middle child, which tends to be kind of like the martyr, child. So I think she would do it anyways. Even if I lived there, she would probably be controlling it because I'm younger than her. But it is really hard being away because you feel really guilty all the time about not helping and not being there and feeling like you're not contributing.
Do you feel guilty, Kathy?
I don't feel guilty in that way because I'm the only one contributing. Yeah, actually, my older brother really just checks out, and my younger brother is so disengaged; it's unbelievable.
Wow.
So I don't really feel guilty. The challenge is when she was really very sick, and even actually this summer when she was sick, is really trying to communicate with doctors in the hospital and whatnot, and being in a different time zone, and she's really bad at asking doctors questions. So she comes out with partial information.
Or maybe he's only sharing what she wants you to know. Because my mom is definitely selective on what she wants to share. My sister, if my sister's not in the room, she has to follow a doctor out like afterward to follow up and be like, what did you tell her? What does she, because my mom will be like, no, I'm fine. All good.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which is a lot of what's gotten her into the situation is for years she ignored health issues because she never went to the doctor ever until literally had to be hospitalized and they didn't think she'd ever go home. This was 10 years ago and they literally put her in the hospital and didn't think she'd go home. It was 2009, so 9 years ago. I remember it so well. I flew home. It was March. She was in the hospital. They didn't think she'd go home. And now here we are 9 years later. So she
didn't change her behavior after that?
Well, the damage was done.
Yeah.
Do you mind saying what's
she
wrong?
has COPD. So years of smoking.
What is COPD?
It's a breathing. It's kind of like emphysema, but it's different.
Okay.
She can't walk like walking 20 feet would be she'd be breathless.
Is she on oxygen?
She was on oxygen for a long time. She's no longer on oxygen, but she has all those constant breathing things that she has to inhale to try to open up her airwaves. It means your airwaves are like cobwebs. It's just really hard for anything to get through. So she cannot, any sort of exertion, when she comes to visit, I would love to take her to the Getty or all these places. She'd have to be in a wheelchair and she's super proud. So she doesn't like being in a wheelchair. It frustrates her. But just walking out my front door to my car will be 10 minutes of us driving in the car of her gasping, trying to breathe.
Oh my goodness.
So we've had that for a long time. The past 9 years, because she got in the hospital because of her breathing and was on oxygen. We came home with all the tanks. We thought that she'd have them for the rest of her life, but she's managed it to the point that she doesn't need it, but she really can't do much.
Right.
And then she has a lot of gastrointestinal issues too.
Oh, really?
That's what just ended her in the hospital.
Oh, no.
That's all new stuff. So that's another issue that keeps her homebound.
Is that diagnosed? Does she
It is diagnosed, but a lot of it could be fixed through surgery, but the doctors say she's not a candidate for surgery due to her other health issues. So it's stuff that you just have to live with,
manage
other ways.
man.
So yeah, but and I think that it's an interesting time because our parents were from a very different time, and nobody worked out, nobody took care of themselves. They all started smoking when they were like 13 years old and smoked constantly unfiltered cigarettes. It was just a really different, they were drinking at a really young age, not that we weren't, but like different,
Yeah.
And
how old is your mom?
Way too young to be as ill as she is, but she's 75.
That's really young.
That's my mom too.
Yeah, super young. Young. And they just didn't take care of themselves. I mean, some did, but I think the majority did not take care of themselves.
Right.
Not like we do,
No, it's very different. Like my mom didn't drink or smoke, but like anything frozen food, like that's still what she's eating. Like that's her nutrition. Do you know what I mean? Like anything like throw a can of soup and this together, you mix it and that's dinner. And you're like, that stuff is crap.
Yeah.
Like, have you had any like vegetables that didn't come from a can or whatever recently? So I feel like a lot of that is a problem too. Like just the lack of understanding of how bad that stuff is for you.
So I say we're different. I hope we are.
Yeah, right. I think we are. I definitely think we are. I know my now that you say it generationally, my grandparents lived to be pretty old.
Yeah.
And although they didn't work out, they were all like hard working people. They did not sit at a desk and work all day. They were out. They were farmers.
So they were getting physical.
So it's different.
Yeah, they fresh air, physical, and they grew everything they ate. Both my parents had their own food farm. They would buy some things from the grocery store, but most of it came from their own land. And then my dad's generation got into more processed foods, but my dad still was a really hard worker, same kind of physical laborer. But I think of my friends' parents from his age, and they're far more ill than my grandparents were.
Huh, that's interesting.
My grandparents, I still have a grandmother living who's 85.
Wow.
Or no, it's 87, I guess now. But, and she's doing really great, all things considered, her age, and she's had health problems throughout her life too. But she's still kicking it. She's still bright. But there are people in my parents' generation who are actually, in some ways, not as healthy as she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it is from change in diet, change in lifestyle. I mean, my grandparents all smoked unfiltered cigarettes, all, drank too, but were pretty healthy, physically healthy. No heart conditions, no breathing problems, I don't know. And because my dad's 70, even though he's 5 years younger, it's the same generation.
Yeah. Your dad's so active though.
My dad is an anomaly. He is a freak. He's 145 pounds. He has the doctor was like, you have like inside your body, you're about 54.
Wow. That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So he's amazing.
That's good. Some good genes.
And he works out every day.
Yeah.
He bought himself a treadmill at a yard sale for $25.
Oh my
and
God.
he gets on his little treadmill every single day because now he's retired. So he makes sure that he does push-ups and sit-ups every single day because he knows that's how you keep your core healthy.
Yes, good
he's
for
just
him.
always been like that. Now, no one else in his family's that way.
Yeah.
He's just, like I said, kind of an anomaly.
That's awesome.
He's
Well, and the
not
saddest
the
thing
one.
with my mom is that she's like, her brain is insane.
Right.
She is so sharp. She is always the smartest person in the room. And so she's trapped in this body that can't do anything. And she yearns for I give her a lot of credit because she will force herself to go somewhere every day. It could literally just be going to the public library and returning books and picking up a new book, and she orders them online. So she's gotten really good about managing what she can manage. So she can order the book online from the public library. If it's in stock, they'll have it at the front desk for her. So all she has to do is park in the handicapped parking spot, take the elevator up, walk in, return her books, grab her new book, and walk out. And so she can do certain things like that. At the grocery store, interesting enough, because she's like leaning on the cart. She can go to the grocery store and buy some things. So she gets herself out every day. She's in a book club. She plays bridge because she yearns for social. Like she's so smart and she wants to talk to people. And she's really interested in what's going on in the world today. Loves to talk about it. Is on the internet 24/7.
And your dad has passed.
Yeah. And he was healthier, ironically, well, or so we thought, than she was. She was always the one with the health issues. He took care of her. But he just died. He wasn't as healthy as we thought he was. He had a heart attack, which was sudden, but again, from smoking. Because he had heart disease, and it was all caused by smoking.
All caused by smoking.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys know that the new Apple Watch can predict if you are having a heart attack?
Oh, you're kidding.
Huh.
No, the brand new one that just came out can tell if you're having a heart attack.
Oh, that's crazy.
Can it call 911 for you?
I wonder, right?
It does?
It would make sense,
It calls
right?
911?
Oh my
That's
God.
amazing.
That is
Well, and the
fantastic,
craziest thing is that
'cause,
he was in a hospital when it happened, which is like, if you're going to have a heart attack, where you want to have one. But his doctor sent him to the hospital because he said he had pneumonia. Because in the x-ray, the enlarged heart looked like the lungs, like he had pneumonia,
gosh.
but it was actually his enlarged heart.
Wow.
And they realized it after that he didn't have pneumonia. He was having heart disease and was in heart failure. And they put him on a giant bag of IV antibiotics, which is like the worst thing to do for someone who's in heart failure.
Oh, no.
And then he had a heart attack.
Wow.
I know. But my mom, again, like we thought she would not survive without him, and she just powers through. It's
Right.
unbelievable. It'll be 3 years November, and she's sad. I mean, when I went to go visit her in August, she, will say, I'm really sad, I'm really lonely, I miss him, but she powers through.
But she's still at home, right?
No, she moved 3 months after he died out of a
Where
house
is
that they lived in for over 30 years.
So where is she now?
She's in a condo right by my sister.
Right, but she's still living on her own.
On her own, yes.
Right. Unassisted,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
She moved from literally like a 3,500 square foot house into a 750 square foot apartment.
My mom just put an application in, thank God. We've been talking about this for a long time, to assisted living.
She
Yeah.
did?
She did. I'm
Wow.
so excited.
But is it like a retire? Like, is
It's
it
like
social?
a retirement community. It is. She
that's
has
nice.
her
It's
own.
good for her.
She will have her own apartment. She is allowed to have a pet. She can still
Aw.
drive. But they have she's alone in
Activities.
this giant house
Yeah.
Yeah.
by herself. She sees no one.
Yeah.
But they have a bus that will take you shopping. You can go to the supermarket. All of that kind of stuff. I'm like, go live with
Yeah.
other human
Yeah.
beings. You're so
Good for
stressed about
her.
who's going to plow my driveway? I can't get out today.
Well, and it's expensive. That upkeep on a house is really
And she
expensive.
owns her house outright, but she's like, the taxes and just maintaining a house, and something breaks, she can't fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's on her, yeah. That's
I'm
what my
so
mom-
excited. It's a 2-year waiting list, but so who knows? But so what? 2 years,
Yeah.
she can do it for 2 more years if she has to.
No, my mom immediately went out of the house. She'd been trying to convince
Yeah.
my dad for a while to move into a smaller place, but they were on a big piece of land. It was a lot of upkeep, and she just said, all I do is walk around and look for him. I don't want to walk around and look for him. So I think that's why she moved into such a small place.
Right.
Is that there's nowhere to look. It's so tiny.
Right.
But we're trying to convince her to move into she's in a nice condo building with really nice people. And so when I go visit, I try to talk to everybody in the elevator.
Right?
Because I'm like, maybe it's a friend, But they're not like that there because it's not the kind of building
It's
it
not
is.
that, yeah.
But she has a friend who just put her name on a list at one that we wanted her to move into in the first place, but she just wasn't ready to make that commitment. That they have a book club in the building. They have
Right.
all those craft things in the building. She
It
would
takes a
love
long time
that.
to get in there. So you got to put your name on.
So she just
early.
did put her name on.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I didn't know Connie did that. That's great.
She did. Yep. We've been talking about it for a long time. She's looked at a bunch of places. Originally her plan was to move out here.
I was about to say,
And
would she look at any out here? 'Cause there's
she
a
did
ton.
actually. She can't afford
No,
to
they're
live out
expensive,
here.
right.
She lives in Maine and owns her
Yeah.
own house. You cannot translate to LA. She just financially cannot
Right.
make that happen. So she found a great place, 20 minutes from where she currently
Such
lives.
peace of mind for you.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I really hope something comes up fairly soon. She's ready. She's like, I'm done with the house. I'm done with dealing with this.
That's really good.
I'm so excited. It'll be so awesome to know that she's with other people, and to know if at some point she does need additional care, I have a place to go.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There are tons of resources.
Yeah.
They'll bring you to the doctor for $1.
$1.
You know what I mean? Yeah, $1. It
It's
costs to take
amazing.
the bus or
and
whatever.
their meals are taken care of. I mean, they usually have pretty good food at these
Well,
places.
she actually will not have any sort of meal plan because
Oh.
she'll be in her own apartment.
Oh, okay.
But at some point she can.
But can she
you
buy
know?
into it and still go from her apartment into their?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
Because that's
ask. I
another
don't
big
know.
social thing. 'Cause
It
it's sad
is.
that they're eating alone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really
Well,
healthy.
we are tribal, creatures. We are not
Yeah.
meant to be singular.
Yeah.
And I think, my plan has always been, I'm fine to move into a community like that whenever I feel like we should. Because, I mean, this little village we live in is kind of that, even though it's not retirement community.
But everybody
knows everybody.
Right.
I could walk to your house. You could walk to my house, you know.
Right.
I walked here this morning.
I know you did. So, I mean, that's what I think life is about. I mean, growing up in a small town, that's kind of what life was about until you get really old.
Yeah.
And then when you get really old, you know, some people will come visit, but I think you're just crazy to hold on to this idea of this house is my house and I'm independent in this way instead of just embracing where you are.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a place where what's so bad about having someone help you? If you've been on this planet 75 years and you have health issues, what's so bad about that? I don't know. I'm not saying your parents feel that way, but I think a lot of people feel like, no, I'm in this house till I die. You know, my grandmother is still in her house by herself and will not consider going anywhere else. And I'm like, but now you have your daughter and her daughter who are constantly caring for you. So in a certain way, you've taken over their lives.
Yeah.
And they don't have a choice because you won't transition into an appropriate place in your life. You know, she really does need... She's not in bad health. She's just really frail, and she's
at 85. Yeah,
she's really frail,
Yeah.
and she's can't keep up with her medication and when she needs to take it. And if you don't put food in front of her, she'll just forget to eat. You know, she's like that. Nothing's wrong with her health wise.
Yeah,
she has some slight back problems, but nothing. I mean, at 87. So, but I hope that I'm not. I mean, selfish is a strong word. I don't think she's being selfish.
Yeah.
I think she likes her home and she doesn't want to go.
And she doesn't necessarily, they don't necessarily see themselves as a burden because they don't see, also it's a different mentality, but they don't, you know, they think that you want to be with them and help them. So it's not a problem. They don't know how busy, they are so far away from where you are at your life and how busy you are with your own kids and your own family that they don't necessarily see how challenging it can be to like make that time to get in there and help. And one thing I find interesting about this age we're in right now is that when your kids are really little and it's so like challenging, life is challenging, you're chasing toddlers around and so busy with all that, you think, God, it's gonna be so easy when they're like teenagers in high school. But it's so mentally, I guess it's not. Physically, it's easier. Mentally,
it's totally different ball game, isn't it?
But what's so interesting is the amount of our friends whose parents are sick or have died in like the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I feel like every time I talk to someone, I mean, we have another really good friend whose mom has been dealing with, I don't know if she's dementia or Alzheimer's, and her dad was the healthy one and he's the caretaker, and she would go home to like take care of her mom so that her dad could get a break, and he just had a stroke.
Oh no.
And he's the healthy one, and now they've both been moved in. They I think got her in the same room, but like moved into a full-time care facility, and they don't know what his recovery is going to be like. But like he was the healthy one, you know, and and he was the caretaker for her mom, and now he needs a caretaker. So it's just like just how many friends we talk to. And I do, now that I've lost my dad and I hear someone lost a parent, I know like how much that hurts and takes such a piece of your heart that I feel like it's just such a different time. It's, you know, some things are easier, and then all of a sudden you get this new thing thrown at you where, oh my God, now our parents are dying and getting sick and we have to deal with that. And our kids don't really get it, you know?
Well, no.
Yeah.
No. I don't think I really got it until recently. You know, my dad's so healthy and I don't have a relationship with my mom. I started getting it when my grandparents started passing. Because I was pretty close to my grandparents. And I started going, wait, this is affecting so many people when they start getting ill. And I don't know, I was very self-involved, I guess, or very self-absorbed and didn't see, I guess everybody was so young. I mean, my dad was 21 when I was born. Yeah. His parents were like 19 when he was born. So everybody was so young relatively in my life that didn't start having people die or anything like that happening until I was pretty old. Right. I mean, I just lost my grandparents like 2 years ago. Wow. I'm 48. So I had 3 grandparents until 2 years ago. And then
my last grandparent died when I was 7.
Yeah, see what I
was
mean?
13, yeah.
I'm totally way past you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And so for me, that realization of, wait, this is my future came a little later.
Yeah.
Because at some point I'll have to help take care of my dad. My dad has some retirement, but not really. Not really that much. He has a lot of property that could be sold
Yeah.
to take care of him.
Well, and that's the
But-
other thing of this age is there's the physical aspects. My mom financially is fine. She doesn't need, if anything, she's constantly helping us. But I have lots of friends who are financially supporting parents at this point.
Right.
And that's just, it has to happen.
It has to happen, yeah.
So, it's like, it's not just even the sick physical, it's the parent who you financially need to support because they're your parent.
Yeah, and what do? You can't just say, yeah, sucks for you. You're out
Yeah.
on the street. You have to do it. I mean, I think I'm trying to.
And I wonder if that's a generational thing too, because we are so big on saving for our retirement.
Yeah, we are.
Number
yeah.
one, we want to be able to retire. And I don't even
Yeah.
know if that's a reality these days. My dad retired at 63. I mean, I'm 48. There's no fucking way I'm retiring at 63.
Yeah,
I
right.
can't even imagine.
Right.
How are people retiring these days? And we're saving so much money
Yeah.
and being so careful about putting money away. And I still, when I look at what that's going to be in 10 years, I'm like, the reality is we're going to be working a lot longer. Although retirement for my dad at 63 was terrible for him. He should have kept working because he
Right.
just sat in front of the TV and watched TV. He watched ESPN all day. So
Well, there's that, but the other part of it is too. Things are so much more expensive comparatively speaking. I think you could buy a house for $30,000,
Right.
when they were starting to buy houses, and college for me was something like $4,000 a year.
yeah, we got to pay for our kids to get through college.
And that's my point. Is when I was in college, which was only 25 years ago,
Yeah.
which is a long time, but not really, considering how much it's increased.
Yeah.
In percentage.
My husband's
Yeah.
convinced there's a bubble. There's a college bubble and it's going to burst. The reality is
Well,
it cannot keep.
hope.
You can't hope. These $70,000 a year
No.
now for some of these schools, it's ridiculous. Especially in England, in Canada, where it's so affordable.
Well,
how many
yeah.
people are going to start just I have friends whose son's a senior at Harvard Westlake. I mean, he's a really bright kid. He's only applying to schools in England because it's 3 years and it's $20,000 a year. So you're done at
Right.
$60,000.
Right.
And they're like, yeah. And they're really good schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what's really funny is my 14-year-old daughter had all of her 14-year-old freshman friends over a couple weekends ago. And after they all left, she was like, we have a plan. We are all going to community college the first 2 years of college and then transferring to a big university because none of her friends have wealthy parents.
Yeah.
They're all either like us or less than us.
Yeah.
So they're
So
like,
smart.
that's our reality. That's a reality that all my friends are living in. And
Yeah.
I would like to live in that reality too, is basically what Georgia said. And I was like, I have no problem with
Santa
you
Monica
going.
College is
No, there's nothing wrong
amazing.
with that.
Pasadena Community College, City College is amazing.
That's so funny. When on the drive up to the camping trip this weekend,
Yeah.
I was talking to Felicia, and she was saying that somebody's, I don't know, one of her kids' soccer coaches, their daughter got accepted to some big East school that's like 70 grand or whatever, and she got accepted, but the school asked her to sort of defer. So she goes to community college for a year. She does well. She did really, really well. So she enters as a sophomore
Yeah.
at 70 grand, but she has a year of community college under her belt. And because she did so well, they ended up giving her even more financial aid.
right.
So
Oh,
now
that's
she's
great.
only paying 3 years for this big fancy pants school,
Yeah.
but still getting the degree from there. And they're encouraging to sort of help offset the cost of that. There's like these programs that schools are doing. I was like,
Well,
that's
I think the
fascinating.
three of
Yeah,
us
it is.
did the what would we do differently and what would we tell our younger self. And one of the big things I would have told my younger self was to go to community college for a year.
Yeah, right?
Right.
At least 1 year, if
Yeah.
not two, is when you transfer in, even as a junior. Apparently, someone else was talking to me. It wasn't you, but someone else was talking to me about this last week because maybe it was Tatum's mom, because I had told her what Georgia had said to me, that all of us are going to go to community college together. That way we can be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it won't be so pressured.
And this
and
is
then
such
we
a bad
can
city to
figure
be in
out.
community college for 2 years for.
Right?
It's not like you're in some Kodak little. A lot of
Totally.
kids go to Santa Barbara. I mean, but you have to pay rent then. Santa Barbara City College is really good too.
Yeah.
So at least they're away somewhere. but it's
Pasadena
still a
City
little
College
expensive.
is gorgeous
Yeah.
and a great city college.
Yeah.
But I was telling her, and she said, the acceptance rate applying as a sophomore, you're like, what'd she say? Like the likelihood of getting the school you want to be going to
Yeah.
is higher
It's way
if you
higher.
transfer in
'Cause all
as a
those
sophomore.
kids who shouldn't have gone away flunked out.
Probably. And there's a lot to wrap your head around.
yourself that you can actually achieve.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Totally.
That
And you're
you
so
look
much
better.
more mature. I
Yes.
mean, that's a big year. Yeah.
It is a big year, and there's a lot to bite off. Like if you're
Yeah.
moving, you're no longer living with your parents, you're having to feed yourself 3 meals a day, and you're having to time manage everything you do. I know my freshman year, I pretty much lived on salsa and tortilla chips.
Oh, I was
That was it.
ramen,
That was salsa and tortilla chips.
bagels, ramen, like every bad carb that you could constantly be putting in your body.
Because you can't
We had a
manage
dynamic
everything.
full.
so I don't know.
You
just
can't
had-
manage everything.
yeah.
You know, you gotta something you had to give for you to
Yeah.
figure out how to function, or at least it did for me.
The other, so
Mine
the-
was my liver.
My
Yeah,
liver was
right,
compromised
yeah.
as well.
Mine
was
is
slightly
compromised as well,
compromised.
too. That's why I was eating all the carbs to absorb the liquor.
Exactly, the greasy carbs.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kathy, quickly though, with your brothers and with your mom, helping your mom, do they not help just because it doesn't occur to them, or do they not help because they're angry or like frustrated, or?
I think it's both. My mom is very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So I think both of my brothers have just sort of checked out because it's easier.
Yeah.
And they
She's
know that I'll
challenging
take
in what
care
way?
of it.
Demanding?
She's just a hard person, and has very challenging relationships with her kids. She is not an
Is it
easy
from
person to
childhood?
get along. What?
Is it from childhood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's just a tough person.
Well, so
to
it's
get
so
along
interesting.
with.
One of the
So-
things that has come to light, like with my mom being sick, is like definitely like everyone has their shit from childhood of bad things that happened.
Yeah.
And there was some really rough years growing up with my mom. Ironically, I was 7 when her father passed away, and she definitely went into like a pretty heavy depression. And I was young, so this is kind of my way I looked at it, and I kind of assumed we all looked at it. But there were years, you know, she was severely depressed and wasn't really a mom, you know, wasn't present. And as an adult now, so growing up, it messed with me bad. You know, like I'm sure, I mean, looking back, I'm sure I was a hot mess, you know, teen years, hormonal, all that. My brother and my sister are older, so they went away to college, and I felt like I got left behind with all this shit. But as I got older and more mature and also became a parent and understand the challenges and how, you know, we deal, and we have friends who have lost parents who have become severely depressed after losing a parent. I kind of get it. I was really depressed after my dad died. I came out of it, but like, you know, shorter than some other friends. But I forgave her. Like I always had unconditional love. I always had a roof over my head. I had clothes on my back. I had an education that was paid for. And even though like she wasn't present, I never doubted that she loved me, you know, like that I was totally loved.
Right.
And I think my sister feels very similar to the way I feel about it, but my brother is super angry.
Really?
Angry. And so I don't know if that's why he doesn't help, but he still is angry. And when I say you need help, like you need to talk to someone, he's like, you need help. You know, you've forgotten all the bad. I'm like, no, I remember the bad. I've moved past the bad.
Yeah, you've forgiven the bad.
I'm okay. Like I understand that she wasn't fully capable of doing what she needed to do as a mom at that point. But he is just, and I didn't know that. This is like, you know, I see him several times a year, and this is all stuff that's come out since she has gotten sick, and he's angry. And I'm just like, you don't know how much time you have left, you know, and if she goes and you're still angry, it's going to be a big problem for you.
Yeah.
So you need to get past it.
Do you feel like do you feel his anger is for him, but obviously your mom probably knows or feels that something's amiss.
Yeah.
Do you think he's being punitive to her by not forgiving her, or is the lack of forgiveness all about him, you know, to punish, oh yeah, you weren't there for me, so I'm not there for you?
Well, he
or?
is though, like my sister and I will be surprised. He's a really good cook, and all of a sudden, you know, my sister's like, Mom's at Dave's for dinner, you know, and so I'm like, oh good, you know, like, you know, that's nice. So he does, I think he has those moments where he feels bad, and but it just makes me sad that he's so angry.
Yeah. It's part of it's your disposition too. Sounds like your disposition always was glass half full, half full. Yeah. I'm a glass half full person, but I think I became one. I think in the beginning, or when I was younger, I was much more like half empty. So I wonder if it's part of his disposition.
Well, and I'm wondering if he's like, because I'm just finding out about the anger. My sister and I both, and like and we both have talked about it because he's both individually. It's come out, and And I'm wondering if it's because he is scared of losing her. And so now he's like,
oh, maybe.
Even, I don't know. It's just, it is very interesting though, that when your parents get older and sick and how everyone deals with it.
Yeah.
And,
well, forgiveness sometimes can make you suffer grief.
Yeah.
Grief is a scary feeling for a lot of people. To grieve the loss of something is such a deep kind of sadness. I think when you forgive something, then you have to let something go, right? Something has to be let go. And some people have a hard time grieving. I bet Midler has a quote that I put up on my wall from time to time that says something like, some people have a harder time letting go of the anger they'd rather hold on to the anger. The anger is comfortable because the other stuff is not comfortable.
Right.
I've totally screwed up her quote, but something to that effect. Like they'd rather have the bad feeling than the unknown feeling.
Right.
Or the sad feeling.
Or the sad feeling.
It's easier to be angry
yeah.
than it is to be sad. No one wants to sit with that.
Yeah, that's
really
true.
painful.
It's just so interesting because it makes me sad. It makes me really sad. I had no idea that he was that angry, and he has every right to be angry. I definitely was angry a lot. There, it wasn't great, but I think just because I see so many people who have less than we had,
right,
that I'm just really grateful for what I had,
yeah,
even though it wasn't for a really present mom for a lot of my childhood. She loved me, and I never wanted for anything, in terms of needs.
Right.
So
that's your glass half full.
Yeah.
It's a great way to be.
So now I'm worried about him too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'd hope that he'd be able to resolve some of that before she passes away, so that he can, kind of like our friend whose mom got ill and then they were able to kind of reconcile. But how devastating it was for her when her mom died, because she'd spent years apart from her, and then the reconciliation was so short. But maybe the reconciliation would never have happened if her mother wasn't dying.
True.
Right.
So, you have to celebrate what you get, I guess. Be really proud of what you have. And let go of the rest. The rest is just kind of baggage, right?
It is. And we're too old.
We are kind of too old, and Dave's older than we are.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just too old. I'm just like, that's a lot to carry around, and it must be affecting every relationship in your life.
Right.
Yeah.
In some way, you're probably right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm anxious about my dad getting ill. My dad is not a good patient. He's very stubborn. He's actually said, if I have cancer, I'm not treating it. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Especially with all the amazing things they have out there now.
Exactly. Right? There's so much that's treatable now. Don't be an asshole is what I want to say.
Yeah.
But he's just that kind of stupid stubborn where he would do that. He would be like, I have prostate cancer, I'm not treating it. And at his age, that's so freaking like almost to be expected.
Right. The fact that he hasn't had it yet.
Exactly. You're like,
my
it's
dad
coming
had
at some
that
point.
years before he died of a heart attack and was totally fine afterwards.
Oh, totally. But for my dad to be, I'm not treating it. I'm not scared of that. I'm not doing that. I go, really? That's so frustrating. And I hope nothing ever happens with his health for his own sake. But managing it, I'm an only child. I don't have anybody to fall back on. He has a longtime girlfriend. She has 3 kids who adore my dad. But the amount of guilt I would feel for them to take care of him.
Oh, yeah.
Simply because of proximity. That would be really hard for me to know that. Not because I would be jealous or anything like that. It would feel it's my responsibility because he's my dad. And I have a life out here that I think it would be really hard to just pick up and move back to a town of 1,800 people to care for my dad.
Oh, no.
I don't know how I could do that. He would never consent to be put in a home, any kind of assisted living, not ever. So, and he couldn't afford to pay for any of that either. So the paying for it would be on us. I think about that a lot when we're saving for retirement. I keep thinking, I wonder if we shouldn't put some aside that's specifically for my dad's health care, so that we know that we at least have something. Obviously, we could take from our own retirement. It's all our money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's some kind of insurance you can purchase to insure yourself for paying for my dad.
There's long-term care.
Long-term health care.
Oh,
It's expensive, but you buy it. It's hard to do it for someone who's 70.
Yeah.
Like it's something that people should buy when they're much younger. But it's hard to make that monthly payment. Like
It's super expensive.
Is it really?
But it basically covers you to stay in your home and have someone come.
Right. Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Like there's certain levels of care that you can have.
Like any other insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
So my mom does have it.
She does?
She does, because she was a public school employee for so many years that she's really good retirement benefits and insurance.
Nice.
So she does have long-term care, which is good.
Yeah, my mother does not. My mother-in-law does.
Yeah.
But my mother does not.
No, my dad's got nothing. He's got Medicare or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
No, he has never had insurance ever until he got to be the age where he could have Medicare. He wouldn't even go to the doctor. His best friend was a doctor, and that's the only way he would go to the doctor is if he went to see Jeff.
Oh my gosh.
Other than that, if something happened over and above Jeff, he was like, well, I'm just not dealing with it. Like he shattered his thumb. I don't mean broke it. I mean, he shattered it. He hit it with like an air wrench and shattered it. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, with Jeff, and he's like, you're going to need surgery for that. And he's like, nope, not doing it. So he built himself a homemade splint to try and get this shattered thumb because he would not go have surgery on it. So now the thumb looks so ridiculous. It doesn't even look like a thumb. It does look like a thumb, but it's like too stiff and straight looking. And so then he decided after it started healing, he was like, okay, maybe I should go have it checked. So he goes to this orthopedist, and the guy was like, it's too far gone now. I can't do anything with it. It's just going to have to heal as it is. It probably needed like pins. And, and he's like, well, it's already started reforming, but you probably never be able to.
It would have been a full cast.
It would have, and he would never have done it.
Yeah.
He would never have done it. So what he did when the thumb was broken was he built himself a prosthetic thumb so he could continue to work. That was in a glove that he would put on with his broken thumb. Then he had a fake thumb, right?
Oh my God.
That he could use to like.
So he'll do all that, but not go to the
doctor.
So is it stubborn? Is it stubbornness, or is it fear, or what?
I think it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
I think it's about money.
So my mom had ample money and insurance, but has absolutely been deathly afraid of doctors for as long as I've been alive. And it could be, her mom died of cancer, her dad died of a heart attack, but I think with her mom with the cancer, doctors really, really scared her. There was a big fear of doctors. There was a Christmas when I was growing up that she was really sick, and she always would do Christmas Eve dinner and never came down on Christmas Eve. Hadn't seen her for days, up in her room, sick. And finally on Christmas Day, my dad's like, we have to call an ambulance. Your mom thinks she had a stroke. She can't move.
Oh my.
So I was like, wait, so when did she think she had the stroke? Like, is this like days ago? And finally she's like, given the fact that she can't come down on Christmas, she had shingles.
Oh my.
Oh gosh.
But like all over her back. And so she couldn't move, and she had let them sit there untreated for so long that her whole body went numb. But she'd rather lay in bed for like a week,
right,
thinking you had a stroke,
right,
than actually go to the doctor, go to the hospital. So when she got there, they're like, you didn't have a stroke, you have shingles. And so you start her on medication. It was weeks of recovering because shingles takes a while. But like the sooner you get on medication, the sooner you feel better.
Right.
But that's like been her. Like I joke, we all go get a physical every year. We go to our OBGYN and get a, annual exam. I don't know that my mom ever had a pap smear. Like that's just not something she ever did. Like she never went to after having babies. Like that was it with that doctor.
Yeah, that was it with that doctor.
But for that, she just doesn't. And I think for her, it's fear. I think the fear is crippling. And she's convinced every time she was in the hospital, she's not coming home. Because my sister even said when she drove her home from the hospital when she went in August, that she was like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Like very chatty on the way home. Because like in a way she's like, oh, I didn't think I was ever going to see any of this again.
Right. How crazy.
And she gets like giddy that she's out driving and she's seeing it all because she was pretty sure she wasn't going to get to come home.
Well, I think my dad's is mostly about money.
Yeah.
He thinks that Jeff would never charge him for anything. They would barter. My dad would be like, okay, I'll put new tires on your car. treat my shattered thumb. You know, they never, cash never really exchanged between those two. And my dad preferred it that way because he felt like Jeff would treat him fairly. That was a fair treatment. Yeah. But if he had to go to a doctor, we had to write a check. Yeah. He was absolutely positive that test was not necessary. They charged me for an aspirin. Massive conspiracy theory where money is concerned with doctors.
Some of it is true.
Some of it is true. Some of it is true. But like, I'm like, now that he's on Medicaid or whatever, he'd go all the time. Yeah. No problem going. Now, he's still not getting treated if he's diagnosed with cancer, he says. But he's, you know, he had a little, like a sunspot on his forehead that ended up being skin cancer, and they removed it, and it cost him like nothing. Yeah. And he was fine with that. But he was convinced. He did not understand why they wouldn't biopsy and remove in the same day. Oh. Why are you wasting my time to biopsy and make me come back later so you can charge them twice? Right. Now you get to charge them twice. And I'm like, Daddy, you know, they can't really plan for that. How do they schedule their day? How do they know when you're coming in that you need surgery so that they can then schedule the surgery? How would the doctor be able to manage his time? Just that piece of it makes sense to me.
You might need surgery. Just block me out for the afternoon.
Exactly. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Totally.
Hey, babe.
I'm going.
Where are you going?
Open tabs today?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to a meeting.
Oh, that's right.
You can't? Tomorrow? Okay.
All right, babe.
Reads tomorrow? Today?
Today.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Love you guys.
Love you, babe.
Bye.
Have a good meeting.
My dad used to keep track of x-rays, like, you know, when you go to the dentist and they're like, oh, we need to take new slides. I do, and I think that's like, it's genetic, because I'm like, didn't you do it last time? Because that was totally my dad. He was always convinced you're just trying to take more x-rays because you get to bill me for the x-rays and you don't need to take more x-rays, and that you're going to put cancer in my body because you're taking the x-rays. So he was always convinced. So he used to keep track of every doctor and when they took x-rays on things and be like, no, you took one 6 months ago. You don't need a new one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was really weird about that. But that being said, my parents were so different. If my dad literally had like a paper cut that he thought maybe required stitches, he was like the first one at the doctor.
Oh, funny.
Like he was like, I think I'm running a temperature. I'm going to urgent care. Like he totally was like at the doctor constantly, which was so crazy because my mom, like, you know, is lying in bed and thinks she had a stroke and won't go to the doctor. Yeah. And my dad's like, I have a paper cut. I need to go to the doctor.
So funny.
That's funny.
And your mom, Kathy, has a health issue they can't seem to diagnose.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Which has got to be frustrating.
It's incredibly frustrating for her, for me. But she pulled a very similar Jimmy Kemp thing this past summer. She had 2 MRIs and they had different results, and the doctor called and said, we want to send you for another MRI. She's like, nope, I'm not doing that. I was like, what do you mean you're not going? She's like, no, they can't figure it out, so I'm not going back. I'm like, are you punishing the doctor? I'm like, what?
Or yourself?
Like, what's happening? I'm like,
what? It sounds like you're paying the price.
I'm like, what is your plan? Well, I don't know. Oh, that's a really good plan.
Right?
Like, what? So you don't feel well. You're nauseous every morning when you wake up, but you refuse to go to the doctor because they haven't figured it out yet?
Yeah, what are the other symptoms?
Basically, that's kind of it. She has a lot of gastrointestinal problems that can't be diagnosed. We don't know what's going on. One of the MRIs said she had several hernias. The other one was like, no, or not even the other one. The other doctor who read it was like, no, it's just 2. One's really large. And, you know, there's like this back and forth. But she was waking up nauseous every morning. She couldn't eat. She lost a significant amount of weight. Very similar to what happened 4 years ago where she was hospitalized for 17 weeks.
Right. And did they ever figure out what that was?
No. I actually have a new theory, but of course, because she's refused care.
Oh God.
I don't have a doctor to talk to, so I don't really know what's going on.
What's your new theory?
She's gotten better. You know, both of these incidents, I mean, 4 years ago, the original incident that got her to have surgery, I still don't know what that was, but after she had surgery, that's when everything went downhill and she was hospitalized for so long. In May, she had surgery again and then got ill again. So I'm like, is there something going on? Like, are you allergic to anesthesia? Is there something that happens in the surgery process that you're reacting to? Like, I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible, but
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Every time
I
I've
don't
had
know.
any kind of anesthesia, I have thrown up.
I
Yeah,
always do too.
massively.
Yeah.
It's awful. Not that that's
but then it's
I
only
always
for like
sit
a
up
day.
and I'm like,
it is, yeah, but
yeah, no, and then we're better. Yeah.
But who
Yeah.
knows if like it's different for someone else? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm just wonder
worth
because when
Googling.
maybe
worth Googling.
Maybe
Although,
worth
yeah,
Googling.
because when your parents aren't here and you're getting, and they're in the hospital and you're getting little bits and pieces of what's going on.
Yeah.
I literally am sitting on the internet the whole time. My sister's sending text message, and I'm reading it, and then I'm like Googling, like
Right.
looking up what everything means and trying to put it together. And then I have questions, so I'm texting my sister, ask them this, ask them that, or my my father-in-law is a doctor, so I'm sending him the questions, and he's like, that sounds right, but ask them this. And so I'm getting all these different things, but I'm basically sitting in front of the
Right.
computer, which is good and bad, because then you read something and you're like, oh, that's bad.
See, that actually sounds more challenging because without another sibling to sort of do that, like I'm like, just put the doctor on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Give the doctor
Well, and
the
I'm getting
phone,
half
and
of
then,
it. So then when I went home, I said something to my sister like, oh, well, when we're still dealing with this, my sister goes, oh, no, that was wrong. They thought it was that, but it
Yeah.
ended up not. And I still this whole time thought that this other thing was an
first
issue.
one.
Right. You
But
can
she had
get the
forgotten
update.
to communicate
Yeah.
with me that, oh, no, that actually wasn't it. And I was like, oh, that would have been really good to know.
Yeah.
Because actually I was making her food for a specific diet that had to do with her with the issue. And
right.
And there was no issue.
yeah, that
Or
wasn't the
wasn't
problem.
it.
And then this was a little funny side note. So my sister keeps saying, hang on, I'll call you back. Dr. Dick just walked back in.
Dr. Dick.
Dr. Dick said this. And so I'm Googling Dr. Dick at the hospital that they're at and trying to find out who is this guy. And I was like, so I just jokingly, because, it's very intense on my sister, wrote, what an unfortunate name. And she wrote back, oh no, that's not his name. He's just a fucking dick. So that's what I call him. And then she's like, his name is actually, and it was like this crazy long name. And I was like, for 3 days,
I've been looking.
I have got my
trying to
mom's
find
doctor. It was
Dr.
Dr. Dick.
That's
And that
hysterical.
was never his name.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
That's really funny. No, that's not his
She's
name.
like, that's not his name. He's just a fucking dick. And I was like,
Oh my God. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Got it. That's
right,
really funny.
right.
Yeah.
The challenges of being for her.
Well,
wedding,
and
right?
he had terrible bedside manner. So this is another interesting thing. So he had terrible bedside manner, had 0 patience from my mom, who is a difficult patient, but I'm sorry, aren't at least 50% people.
especially
at
when
least
they're in the hospital.
difficult
I think they're all difficult.
And he was just like, my sister's like, he was so rude to her, like so short with her. And it was really pissing my sister off. And just like when my mom got home from the hospital, I was talking with her and she's like, well, I'm never going to see that, whatever Dr. Dick's name was again, like I'm going to find someone else if I have to go back for those issues again. So I said, Mom, there's NPR just did this whole story that I heard that, women who are treated by female doctors have a much higher success rate of recovery than if
really?
a woman's treated by a male doctor.
Interesting.
And the same for men. Men who are treated by men do better versus men who are treated by women. And I think it's honestly because like my mom was in the hospital for gastrointestinal stuff, which for women is different for men.
Yeah, yeah.
And a woman would be like, ooh, that is uncomfortable. Or like, yeah, I can see how that's pressing on your chest bone. Like different things that like my mom was like complaining about that he just didn't have the patience for her. And so I like, weirdly enough, the only male doctor I have is my dentist. All my doctors are women, but that wasn't, I don't like, maybe it was like subconscious that I did that.
Right.
I mean, I would never have gone to a male OBGYN, like ever.
No,
that just would
right.
never have occurred to me. But, when I have friends who had, and I was like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I like with the women like seem to understand what's going on down there a little better than.
I don't even go to an OB.
Man.
I go
Oh.
to my regular doctor does my.
So my OB does my
pap smear.
physical. Isn't that funny?
Oh, how funny. So
Yeah.
my regular doctor does my.
I go to my regular doctor for like if I'm sick, but my OB and she are friends, and so she shares all my information with her.
Right. Well, mine share too.
Yeah,
I'm at Cedars.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That is
so I said to
interesting.
my mom, we need to find a female gastroenterologist if you have to go back again. You're not
Right.
going to go to a Dr. Dick again.
No more Dr. Dick.
No more. We're done
We're
with
looking
him.
for Dr. Vagina.
Yeah,
Where is she?
she's out there somewhere.
So, Kathy, do you have a doctor? Oh,
I do.
interesting. You do?
not have a doctor.
No, you do not.
No, I
What?
Nope.
I don't. I'm terrible, actually. I really do not go to the doctor ever.
So, when was the last time you had a physical?
When I was 40.
When you were 40? When did you turn 40?
Do you go get a pap
I went
smear
when I
once
was
a year?
40 because I turned 40 and it felt like I was
should
supposed to
have
go.
one. Where'd you
but
go
I
then?
did not like that doctor. It was.
got it.
Oh, I have a
So-
really good one. I'll give her.
I will actually take that name because
And it's a woman.
It's funny that you say that because my OB, there was a practice where there were two doctors, one was male, one was female, and they would alternate. Like each month you would see someone different because I had originally gone in to see the woman. And they had said, if something happens, like what if she's not on call when you go into labor or whatever, you should know the other person. And he ended up delivering both of my children.
Oh, too funny.
She ended up getting pregnant at the exact same time and had her child the first, like a week after I had Max.
So wait, do you go to an OB every year?
I do not. Now I don't see them anymore at all.
So you don't go get a pap smear once a year?
No. I know. Isn't that
well,
terrible?
now they've
I sound like your mom.
If you don't.
Oh my God.
I know. Well, I get a physical. I get a physical. My doctor requires me to get a physical and like a GYN physical.
Yeah.
Because of my health history and my family's health history, I don't need one except every 2 years in my 40s. But I can't get my birth control refilled unless I have that once a year. Right. So I have to go once a year to get my birth control. But she said if you're healthy and you don't have any issues and you don't have any history of cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, any kind of real big health issues in your lady parts, then you really shouldn't go. There's no need to go more than every other year unless you're having problems or you have a bad health history. Right. But yeah, I stopped going to the OBGYN years ago because I asked my regular doctor, I said, what, is it really necessary? Can I just do one-stop shopping? Like, can I get a physical and a pap smear and like a lady part exam all in one? And my doctor was like, yeah, I can do that for you. But some people would prefer to go there like a specialist. So some people would prefer to go see a specialist, but you don't have to by any means. I can perform all that for you. Right. So that's what I did. I was like, why would I go twice when I don't have any problems? Like if I were having hormone problems or, if she found a lump or something, then I would totally go. But I don't have that. It's not in my family history. My mom has endometriosis, but I don't have that. Right. So I just go see my regular doctor, who I love. I've been seeing her for like 20 years. She's awesome. But
it's funny. I used to go see the doctor all the time, and then we moved here, and then life just happened. Yeah. And then I only had an OB. Yeah. Because I got pregnant right away.
Right.
And then
when you moved here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the crazy thing is in the past, like 6 months to a year, I've had so many friends who have had diagnosis from their yearly checkup that they weren't aware of.
Really?
Yeah. Like a mom who, well, I'm not going to say her name, but we'll afterwards, had a clean mammogram in October and was diagnosed with breast cancer in July.
Oh my God.
And it was advanced enough that she just had a double mastectomy and has to have treatment afterwards. So she has a long road ahead.
In 8 months?
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. I got to go get I
do mine every May. So it's like, but where we go, they are really good about being on you to schedule. And then the colonoscopy's coming up, like 50 is when you do that.
Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah.
Well,
I had one already because I had to have when I had celiac, when I got diagnosed with celiac disease, they had to do a baseline.
Yeah, right.
Then, and so I had it. It's lovely.
I don't think it's lovely.
No.
I'm going to have to have it too.
Although you do want to. The crazy thing is that I joked because we had a friend who just had his for the first time, and I was like, weigh yourself as soon as you're done. Because there's literally nothing in you. But then I remember Darren was like, let's go because you can't eat for like a long time before and you're just emptying. He's like, let's go get something to eat. And I was like, well, I don't want to muck it up. Right? Like it's so clean down there right now.
So clean.
I'm like squeaky clean. But you do, obviously. But it was just funny because you do feel like I'm spotless.
Do they give you a colonic before they do something?
You start the night before. And it literally
do you have enemas or so? You have to
no, it's this thing you have to drink.
You have to drink a thing, yeah.
Brutal.
Are you kidding me?
It's brutal.
I don't want to do it. I have to do it too. I have colon cancer in my family. That's the one cancer in my family is colon. And my grandmother had it, and because she had a regular colonoscopy, they found it very early and were able to just surgically remove and done no treatment after. So I'm hoping if it happens for me, I'll do the same. So I have to start. My doctor is like, until you're 50, we're not going to worry about it. Yeah. She didn't get diagnosed till she was like 80. It happened when she was like 80.
But good for her that she was
doing
taking
that. Oh, she was all about it, baby. I was so bummed when she passed away. She had a stroke, and she lived alone.
Yeah.
And she had a stroke sometime at night. And so my dad came in for lunch the next day, and she had the stroke and couldn't move or take care of herself for like probably 12 hours. And she had fallen where we thought she probably had the stroke, didn't know what was going on, and then stood up and fell and hit her head. So when he found her, she was like in a pool of blood and not able to move very well and could talk a little bit, but she had been there for hours.
Yeah.
And you know, with a stroke, if you can get care
Right away.
right away, you have a much better time. She never recovered.
How old was she?
She was 86. So
They do say that the quality of life can be really bad afterward. So I don't know if it's a blessing sometimes.
You know, I believe that she decided she was not recovering.
Yeah.
I believe that she starved herself.
Yeah.
I really do. Because that's what I believe.
Yeah.
I believe that she did. I mean, I went down there and stayed 2 nights with her in the hospital after she'd had the stroke. And I fed her, and I could get her to talk to me a little bit. But she never talked again after I left. And I don't think she ate regularly again. I think she just decided this ain't the way it's going down for me. I'm not going in some kind of nursing home.
Right.
I mean, up until she had the stroke, she was cooking 2 meals a day for 4 men. You know, for my dad, his brother, my uncle's grandson, and then my aunt's son that came and ate lunch and dinner with her almost every day. She was super active, had a full garden. She had planted her full garden, and she passed away in May. So they had to finish like this whole big crop of food that she had planted, and she was totally fine. She had a stroke before, years ago, when I was like 33. She had a stroke, but it was pretty mild. And she was able to completely rehabilitate herself, total rehabilitation from it. She had... I guess atrophy on her left side that she just threw. She didn't even go to physical therapy. She just made herself work until it all got to be working again. Physical therapy is like a 45-minute drive from her house. So she was like, I'm just going to continue planting my garden and continue cooking lunch and continue washing my own dishes and doing my own laundry. And it just came back over time.
Wow.
And at that point, if I was 33, she was in her 70s. So crazy. I don't want to get old. I mean, I don't mind the age part or how you look. I don't want this health stuff.
I know.
I don't want it. It scares me, especially the scariness of a stroke or a heart attack or something that's sudden like that you can't really prevent or predict. That really scares me.
Being incapacitated. I think that's the scary part.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be incapacitated.
No, I agree.
You know?
And I think that with your grandma, that happens more like where people call it.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have, I mean, Darren and I definitely have our medical protocols all in our...
We do too, yeah.
All done. When you're doing it, you're like, you know, we were like laughing and joking because you're like, wait, can I talk? Or can I?
I know, right?
No. Pull the plug. No, wait. Can I walk? Or I can walk, but I can't talk. Nah, still pull the plug. Like we're So we're joking about it, but it's like the reality of knowing, you know, what you come back to. That was a little bit of a peace of mind when my father passed away. That he had he not been being treated for pneumonia, and had he been in the cardiac wing and not in the sick wing where he was, they probably could have saved him.
Right.
And I talked to a mom that we know who's a cardiac emergency room nurse, and she was very honest with me about what his quality of life would have been had he survived it. And she said, I think that you are better off that he did not. He would not have wanted to be here. And I was like, okay. So that actually made me feel a little bit better.
Right. Yeah.
Knowing that, because he was also a man who, I mean, the day that he died, he, you know, was obviously feeling like total shit. Before he went to the doctor, he had gone to the dry cleaner, gone to the recycling plant, like done all these things.
Yeah.
So he liked to like do his thing. He liked that he had this land and he was out raking and taking care of his land, you know?
Yeah.
So had he not been able to do those things, he would have been miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
I would say it's funny you were talking about joking with Darren. I had to do that with my mom when she was in the hospital. It's a very different conversation when she's sitting there in the hospital, like, because she didn't have any of that stuff in place.
And there's a like 50 questions.
It's intense, you know, and to
Very
have that
detailed,
conversation, to think about like, this is our current reality. That was really hard for her and for me.
Yeah.
Like just thinking about like, because I'm the person who is the
Gonna make
Executor.
executor and the
Ward, or what's it called? Not
executor of the will, but like not guardian. She gave me power of attorney and like a medical power of attorney when she was in the hospital. So like they couldn't do anything without my consent. And that's just, it's very weighty. It's very heavy. Like I didn't really anticipate what that would feel like.
Right. That process probably does, but I have to say, when my aunt had ovarian cancer and she had to do not resuscitate. And so when she was dying, when she collapsed at home and she died in the ambulance and they were resuscitating her, and my other aunt was going, no.
Yeah.
She doesn't want that.
Yeah.
And they kept doing it until they could see
Until
the
they knew.
actual
Yeah.
document. And then when they got to the hospital, I guess the hospital had a copy of her document, and then they stopped. But that was a weight off of my other aunt to go, no, this is actually what she wanted.
I think my sister carries that with my dad. She had to tell them to stop
Yeah.
in the hospital. She walked in and they were doing it.
Yeah.
And trying to bring him back, but his eyes were open. He was not, I don't want to use the word alert. He was aware of what was happening.
Right.
And he was waving his hands.
Like, stop. Yeah.
So she had to tell him to stop. And that's hard for her.
I would imagine.
That has got to be so hard.
So
that would be
it's
heavy.
not
I
a
would
relief
not.
for her. She still gets really upset about it.
Well, you know, for my aunt, we knew she was going.
Yeah.
There was some point where she was not going to make it through cancer.
Right.
So if it's today or next week,
Right.
she's going, and she's clearly going now.
Right.
So let her go now.
Let her go.
Just let her go. Make it end.
This is like, it's not fun to think about. And I do have friends who are dealing with illness, and some treatable and some not. And it's just like, oh God, we're getting old.
I don't want it. I don't want it at all.
Because there's part of me that still feels super young.
It's so funny. Bert this morning, Bert's laying in the bed and he goes, so when you look in the mirror, Leanne, what age do you see? And I went, I don't know. I don't really want to answer that question. I don't know, because I look better than a lot of 48-year-olds, but I don't look as good as my mom did at 48. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think I look 48. And he was like, okay, then how old do you feel? I was like, I feel 30. I really do feel about 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I'd like to stay. I don't need my outside to reflect that. I would like my health to reflect that.
Yeah.
You know, my level of activity and my physical like health to be 30. And I'm definitely not as strong as I was at 30. I'm not in as good shape as I was at 30. Because being in good shape and being physically fit was effortless when I was 30. It's definitely not effortless at 48. It's definitely takes a lot more effort.
Well, we don't have as much time, free time, I should say.
No, but I mean, I could hike Runyon Canyon and not get winded, and then not hike Runyon Canyon again for 4 months and still not get winded.
Right.
That would not happen now.
Yeah.
That's not happening now.
Yeah.
So
I do Fryman at least once or twice a week, and it's so funny because if I do it with a friend, I do it by myself a lot. But if I'm doing it with a friend and we're walking up the front side, I'm like, you talk for a little.
I know.
It's really hard to talk and breathe.
Right?
Can you talk? I'm done.
Right?
I'll talk on the downside.
I know, right? I get the downhill. You get the uphill.
But I feel like I'm way more active at 48 than obviously.
Oh, me too.
I mean, like, you know, I don't think my mom was getting out of bed at 48, but like that was like, you know, I feel
100%,
much more active, and I feel like young. My brain feels young. Like I feel young. So it is hard to like balance that with the fact that I do have friends who are like just getting diagnosed with illnesses and that they're going to have to deal with for the rest of their lives. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
I don't want to do that.
Me neither.
I don't want to burden people either with my illness. I feel like that a lot of the time too. You know, like I'm such the caretaker in this household. I always think about that. If I got incapacitatedly sick, like even if for a short period of time, my house would fall apart. I don't know how we would function, like, because I'm a single parent 5 days a week. So what would happen? And what do single parents in the world do when they have an incapacitating illness? Like if you have breast cancer that you know that's survivable, that you have to treat, but in the treatment of that, it's completely destructive of your day-to-day life. How do you manage your life?
People step in. That's our village. I mean, we had a friend.
Well, yeah.
You know, a good friend of mine who was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's in full remission. You know who she is. But we all just stepped in. We had a meal train going. We drove her kids. People made her kids lunches every day and literally would drop them off. Or if one of her sons went to the same school as mine and just brought it to school with us, everything was just literally, even to going over there, running the dishwasher, emptying it, cleaning up the kitchen after they left, because her husband could handle that part of it, but like he couldn't get it to a good place. People step in, you know, and help.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Yeah,
I would step in and help.
me too.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't close to her, but I did bring her a meal.
yeah.
I brought her a meal. I made her
Our
a pie.
village is good.
It is a good village. We are really lucky.
We are.
Kathy left the village. Stupid.
She's still kind of in the village.
Kind of in the village.
She's still kind of in the village.
My heart's in the village.
Yeah, yes. I make you come here once a week to do this podcast.
And, all right, so
please.
this is the saddest thing too. So our like, not sad, but funny, like that I think about this. So we have contemplated like selling our house and moving into a bigger house, but then we don't, you know, because number one, I don't want to leave the village, but number two, I do think like our mortgage is totally manageable, and we would have a much higher mortgage if we move, which would be super stressful and not good for me. But also, like, as I get older, this house is perfect for an old person.
Yeah.
Like, it's very manageable. It's one floor. There's no steps going up and down. Like, now I do have a bathroom right next to my room. It's very manageable. And I'm like, so I have 3 more years of not even now of my son still living at home, and 7 more of I'm less than that now. 6 more of my daughter living at home. Like, what am I moving to a bigger house for? We all know how fast this goes by. It's the blink of an eye.
We have this conversation regularly in this house, because we're like, I would love one more room.
Yeah.
But really, for what? For the next 6 years? For the next 4 years? In 4 years, George will be gone, and I'll have that one more room.
Right.
So you're going to buy a big house for one more room for 4 years? I don't know. It is really a hard thing, because we would like a slightly bigger house. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing wrong with this house. And this is a great house for a couple. Yeah. When Bert and I are by ourselves.
And then if you keep the manageable mortgage, then maybe you could buy the second home somewhere else and spend half your year
somewhere else.
Right. So that's what I think about, is if I move into a bigger house, I'm never going to be able to afford a second mortgage. And I wouldn't buy a house. Like, I mean, maybe a condo somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just like the idea of going somewhere else.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So it's just, I go over that and I'm like, it goes by so fast. I got 3 more years.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Well, apparently I'll have a little more than that, since my daughter's going to community college, unless they all rent a house together or something.
In Pasadena, their rents aren't bad.
There you go. Not bad at all. Or Santa Monica would be more expensive.
A little bit more expensive, but still, that community college is awesome at both of them.
They are, yeah. I don't know about LA Valley College. Do you know anything about that?
It's really good from what I understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Pierce, some people go to Pierce.
Is good too, right?
Pierce is really good for a year or two.
Right. Well, what's your biggest fear about your parents aging? What's your biggest fear?
Well, now that I only have the one, I feel like when she's gone, I'm going to feel like an orphan. And the crazy reality of when I was just home was, my brother, my sister, and I've thought of the 3 of us as being very, very close. But my parents were what tied us together. And every time I go home, it was the big family dinners, and it was always dictated by my dad. And now it's changed. The whole, what's the word I'm looking for? The dynamic with us, because it's my mom, which is a very different dynamic. My dad was the leader of our family.
Right.
And so it's now changed to making sure my mom is okay, making sure, my sister has a lot of steps that lead up to her house. So maybe we do dinner at my brother's, because it's easier for her just to walk up his front walk and not walk up all those steps. So it's about her and the time together, but we go home because my mom can't really travel. And that's why we always go home for every vacation, which really isn't a vacation.
No.
When you're just going home, it's not a vacation. But do I still go home then? Will they maybe come visit me more? Because now nobody really comes to me, because I always go there.
Right.
And like she's there, what ties us together. Will we still be as close? Will we still spend that much time together? Like feeling like there's not that tie anymore.
Right.
There's not that family bond.
Right.
You like literally feel like that's what I feel like. I'll feel like an orphan.
Right. That's hard.
It is. It's a sad reality.
That is like sad.
Yeah. I guess like that visit home in August was rough.
Was it?
It was.
Oh.
Because the reality became really clear.
Right. The future is near.
And then knowing how my brother, that like I really just kind of found out about his anger then, and that made me sad for him and wanting him to work through it, but I can't force him to do something that he's not ready to do.
Well, sure. But that would be hard to learn.
Yeah.
To learn that.
And then I feel bad for my sister and I are really close, but I do feel bad that so much of the weight is on her.
Right. Gift cards.
And it might be why, honestly, I moved here. I always do get her a nice birthday present. I mean, I moved here 22 years ago, but I think that I was trying to get away.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a different reality to have to kind of accept. If I was trying to get away from there, then maybe I didn't want the bond I thought I wanted. Or maybe I didn't want that dynamic I thought I wanted, or that I thought I should want, or that is, what looks like the normal happy family may not be so normal or happy.
Right.
That's really a lot to swallow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like well, Cathy, how will you feel when your mom passes? Or if she deteriorates? What do you think? What's your biggest fear? That was my question.
I don't know what my biggest fear is. I have to say I'm so relieved to know that she's potentially going into a place. Like I think my biggest fear was her being alone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's literally nobody there.
Right.
Even my brother, who's close, is 4 hours away. So it's not like anyone's super close. So if she's in a place where she's not alone, I will feel so much better. I will still feel massively guilty if something happens when I'm not there, which I have to accept because it's going to happen. Like I don't live there. I'm not going to be there when something happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just the reality. So that will definitely be hard.
But that was your biggest fear. So she kind of...
That was. So hopefully if in the next 2 years, whenever her name comes up on this place, like she'll be fine until then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's that kind of interaction that keeps them younger.
Yeah, it's true.
The social stuff makes such a difference.
It could actually like be adding life to her.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be so great for her. I'll be really, really relieved when that step happens.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that too.
So,
yeah. I don't know what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that something will happen to my dad and I won't be able to get to him the way he would want me to.
Right.
And
or the way that you would want to.
Or the way that I would want to, yes. Which are two different wants. The way he would want me to and the way I would want to are very different.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be able to fulfill either of those.
Yeah.
And feeling bad, like I said before, that his girlfriend's children would be like your sister, Jeannie, like the heavy caretaker, because they live there. And really, in all honesty...
But he's been a dad to them, too.
He has been. I was just going to say that. In all honesty, they've been together for like 17 years. Yeah. And her youngest child, her daughter, was 13 when they started dating. I completely understand what that feels like. My dad dated Jeanne, his second wife. They were together from age like 8 to 20. So that's a huge part of my life. Yeah. And so he's done the same thing for her kids, especially the younger one who was still living at home when they were first in their relationship and first moved in together. So he kind of raised her. So I understand that she would feel like probably great to help take care of him. But I would still feel really bad that I'm the daughter that lives 3,000 miles away that can't, because I see how taking care of my grandmother is affecting my aunt and cousin. That it has become there all day, every day to take care of her.
Are they resentful to other people for not helping them?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. They definitely have opinions about my mother's lack of focus. They definitely have an opinion about that. I don't know that it's resentment. because I think that you can't get blood from a turnip.
Yeah.
I think they kind of know she should be bleeding, but she's never going to bleed. So why would you ever expect that sort of? But so they've definitely let me know that my mother is not pulling any kind of equal weight.
Right.
But they also are like, but do we really want her to?
It's interesting, just and maybe this will help you or maybe not, but when my father passed away and I was really feeling for my sister who was in the room and had to make that call, and it was really rough, and I could tell that it was, we were all suffering, but it was really heavy on her. Mm-hmm. One of my parents' best friends from when we were growing up, it was a couple who we were super close with growing up, and they aren't as close, obviously haven't been for years. Like they were at my wedding, but like we hadn't seen them for years. Mm-hmm. Said to my sister, kept asking her how I was doing. And I think my sister was kind of like, she's fine. Like, why do you keep asking about Jeannie?
Right.
And she's like, well, it's the hardest on the ones who weren't there.
Interesting.
It's the hardest on her because she's not there.
Right.
So my sister actually told me that. She said that. And she was like, she was really worried about you. And I was like, well, you feel guilty. It sucks.
You feel terrible. Yeah.
But at this point, I moved here 22 years ago. My husband's job, like he can't do his job anywhere but here. Mm-hmm. This is what he does. Our family's here now, our kids, and it's where we have to be. So that's why we make the sacrifice of every trip, vacation.
Yeah. It's the same with
being
us.
home.
Yeah, this is the same with us. Where else could Bert live? If he just did the road as a comic, that's all he did.
Yeah.
We could live anywhere.
If we were school teachers or something like that, and you could teach anywhere,
right,
it would be different. But like this is what I met a guy who's in production, so it's like what do you do? What do you do? So that does kind of help me. I'm living my life the best way I can live my life, so I can't live like feeling guilty that I'm not there. But I just was like, so I thought it was so interesting that she said that because she's older and been through it, and said it's hardest on the ones who aren't here. So
that's good perspective.
Yeah.
I am worried about that. I'm worried about I have that same wonder how we spend every summer. We go back to see family. Yeah. Every single summer since the kids were really small, we made sure we go back to Georgia and to Florida. Will we do that when my dad's gone? I don't know. Where would we stay? I'm going to inherit his portion of our lake house unless he sells it before he passes, but I don't know. And that makes me really sad because I'll miss my family, but I have a real connection to that land.
Yeah. Like
my grandparents' farm and the river where I grew up playing in the river constantly, and our lake house. I have such an emotional connection to that land.
Yeah.
That is going to be hard for me to not ever go back on that land again.
Yeah.
I spent so much time, in my troubled teen years when I was really emotional and upset about life. I used to sneak. My dad bought like 7 acres from my grandparents off their farm, and their farm had a river, was one border of their farmland. They had like 80 some acres, so one border was a river, which is where their pastures were, because he raised beef cattle, my grandfather. So my dad just kind of carved out like 7 or 8 acres at the road, and at night when I was emotional and I couldn't sleep, I would sneak out and go to the river, and I'd sit. I'm gonna cry. Shit. I would sit on the bank of the river and just listen to the river, and I would calm down, and then I'd go back home and I could sleep.
Right.
And I did that the whole time I lived with my dad until I went to college, and I can't imagine life without that river.
Hopefully you don't have to.
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
But I only see it once a year.
Yeah.
But it's such an emotional place for me, that particular place where we camp. We go float the river every year. It's the same river. That where we float's not the same spot, and that river feeds the lake that my dad has a house on. So that part really scares me, that I'd never get to go to that place again.
And my mom selling the house 3 months after I wanted her to. She didn't want to be there, and I wanted her to be happy. I mean, not that she's happy, but I wanted her to be comfortable. But it was all just like, it has to be done. We're doing it now, and we were so busy. And you're talking literally, they were married for 51 years when he passed away, and like it was just a lot of shit,
51 years worth of stuff,
and you couldn't think I mean, like there was like Christmas decorations and stuff. Like she's moving to a 750 square foot apartment. My brother and my sister only want to store so much. I'm not flying. I mean, I probably spent like $1,000 shipping boxes of stuff. And then my mom spent thousands sending my dollhouse their dining room table, stuff that she couldn't fit. And that my brother and my sister wouldn't take, and she didn't want to get rid of. So she's like, I'll pay for it to go. So I got it all. But the first visit that we went back after she moved, and we stay with my brother now because he has the biggest house, was really depressing.
Yeah.
And it was a rough trip. And it was a rough trip on many levels. First of all, it's the new dynamic and getting used to it. Everyone's still raw. But we're in someone else's space. Like before we went to visit, my mom and dad literally like stood at like like with their faces smushed up against the window, waiting for our cab to pull up from the airport. You know, like they've been counting the hours. My dad has been tracking the plane online, waiting for us to get there. My brother and my sister both have kids. They're busy.
Yeah.
Their lives are still happening when we're there, versus like when we come visit, my parents' lives like revolved around us, and we stayed with them.
Yeah.
So now we're staying with people whose lives, like we have to go to tennis, then we have hockey, then we have this. So we're trying to like just keep ourselves busy doing our own thing. My parents had a 5-bedroom house. We all had our own rooms. We're sleeping on air mattresses now. So we've done it a few times, and it's just not, it's miserable. So we're going to stay. This is the South. We're either going to VRBO or stay at a hotel moving forward.
Right.
Just because it's just not working.
It's not working. Yeah.
So all that changing, but like the total like weirdness of like, just there's no home to go home to anymore. I don't have a home to go home to.
Right.
My room that still looked like I was in high school. It was a little creepy. I mean, I'm the youngest. So like my brother and my sister were in college, and their rooms became not their rooms. My room like stayed my room. I mean, it still had like my corsage. This is so weird. My corsage from like senior prom.
Oh my God.
Was still in the cup from prom on my shelf. The first time my husband came home with me, he was like, what the fuck? What's going on? This is really weird. But my room still looked like I lived in my room, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just now, and so when we went home, it was like I was home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's no home. So that part's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
That part's rough.
I haven't dealt with that yet entirely. My dad's mom, I lived with my dad and at his mom and dad's house during the early parts of my parents' divorce. So I'd lived in my grandparents' house. It was the only house they'd lived in my whole life. And when my grandmother passed, my dad and his siblings inherited her estate. But I have a cousin who has a son who just had a baby. And nobody really wanted the farmhouse. Nobody needed the farmhouse. How do you give one sibling a house and the rest of them get land? So all the siblings decided to gift the house and like 1 acre of land to my cousin's son, the new family. And then someone's living in the house too while the estate's being, going through probate and all that stuff. They have a guardianship or whatever. But eventually they're just going to gift him the house.
But the house stays in the family, so it's nice.
The house stays in the family, and he can't sell the house unless they approve who he's selling the house to, or they have the right of first refusal or something. I don't know. But I can't go back in her house.
Makes you too sad?
I can't do it. Have not been back there. I can't even look at it when I drive by. That was the only place. I went to 6 different schools from kindergarten to 12th grade. I moved constantly. I lived in trailer parks. I lived in apartments. I lived in different cities. That was the only constant in my whole life. That house never changed my entire life. I could walk in the door and I knew what was happening in that house on any given day. I could tell you everything that was going on in that house on any given day my whole life. And now that's gone. I just can't deal with that house. So I'm not looking forward to the first time they invite me over. I'm going to be like, I don't think I can go in the house.
It's going to be really hard, but it'll be good too.
I don't know. I'm going to try to avoid it at all costs. I don't know. I know they're enjoying the house, which is good. That makes me happy. And I'm sure it would make Granny happy to know that Cody is in there and he's raising his kids. That was my granny's dream house.
Aww.
She, when she got married to my pop, she said, that's the house I want. That's the house I want. And they ended up being able to buy it.
That's awesome.
So for her, it was her dream come true, which was really kind of cool.
Is your mom in the house you grew up in?
No.
No. Okay.
When my parents got divorced, they sold the house.
Oh,
so when I was in college, the house I grew up in was gone. So, but it was, going back there and driving by. It's very bizarre.
Well, I haven't been past back. It's only been 2.5 years since the house sold, but I haven't been past it because it's not there anymore. A neighbor 2 doors down who was, my dad was a lawyer, was also a lawyer, friended my parents, was not close, but friendly with them. And when my dad passed away and they found out that my mom was going to sell, they wanted to buy it and they were not going to knock it down. They were going to fix it up. They told my mom what they wanted to do. She could have gotten way more for it had she listed it, sold it to them, and they knocked it down.
No way.
Yes, they did. They knocked it down.
That sucks.
So it's gone. So my mom won't drive past there either. She's like, I said, have you driven past? And she's like, no, it's not there anymore. There's nothing to drive past. It was they had a huge piece of land in a prime neighborhood, and these people totally
took advantage of her.
Totally at a really hard time.
That's an
crappy.
evil human being.
It's really evil, yeah. And I had a bad feeling about it. I totally had a bad feeling about it.
Oh, that stinks.
And the worst part is that my mom had already hired a realtor, and she had her do all this stuff to it before and buy all these new appliances.
No.
That sucks.
And so she spent all this money. But I had a bad feeling, and I called the realtor, and my sister's oven had just gone on the fritz. And I said to her, would you please ask the neighbors who are buying the house if they're buying new appliances, because my mom just bought that oven and my sister needs a new one, and we would like to take it if they're not going to use it. And they did say they could take it.
Oh. Because they were going to knock it down.
So I sent my sister over.
Yeah.
The brand new refrigerator, all the stickers on it, is probably, got trashed too. It's so annoying.
That's awful.
But at least my sister got the oven.
At least she got the oven. The bun is in the oven.
Yeah. So mad. And the craziest part is my sister has my dad's car. My mom gave her his car, rightfully so. They don't have, my sister, she has 3 kids. Almost 3 of them are driving now. They needed more cars. So she has my dad's car. So I sometimes when I go home, I drive it. It feels so weird. Still smells like him. And now my mom got a new car, so she has my mom's car too. So when you pull up at her house, I'm like, I feel like I'm at mom and dad's. It's so weird because it's like their cars parked side by side. It's so weird.
That is bizarre.
It's really weird.
My uncle got my grandmother's truck, and every time I see it, I'm like, Granny's over? Oh, wait, no, Granny's dead. Wait, what?
Yeah, your heart.
Bizarre.
Every time I pull up, my heart skips a beat. Then I'm like, oh, yeah.
It is bizarre. My granny drove that truck forever.
Yeah.
And it smelled like her too. And when she passed, they let me drive her truck because I don't have a car in Georgia while I was there for the funeral. And she always wore men's collared shirts as like an overshirt. So if she was working in the garden, she'd put on this men's collared shirt. And she left one in the back of the truck, and I stole it.
Oh.
I put it in my suitcase. It smells like her.
That's stealing.
I didn't ask anybody, but I took it.
I took some of my dad's
And I took her
sweaters.
serving spoons too. I went in her drawer and I was like, I'll be taking these serving spoons because she served every meal of my life with these spoons, and they're coming home with me.
Yay.
And I'm not asking anybody. I stole the spoons and the collared shirt, and the collared shirt smelled like her forever.
Oh.
You are a thief.
I took some of my dad's sweaters.
I'm a
I took
thief.
his calendar because he had the most amazing handwriting, and he would every day write what he was doing in his calendar.
Oh.
So I have a calendar and some sweaters and.
Isn't that funny what you take?
Yeah.
My pop passed away when I was like 6 months old, so about 12 years ago. He would drink coffee every morning, but he had this plastic green bowl that he would pour some of the coffee into when he started eating breakfast. And then by the time breakfast was over, he would pour that coffee from the bowl back into the coffee cup because he believed it would cool his coffee down just enough. So coffee's just right. So he would, he's just kind of evenly distributing.
Habit, yeah.
And so I was like, I'll be taking that green bowl. You should see that bowl. It is so gross. It's so coffee stained. He did it so many times that the plastic started bubbling up on the bottom. I don't care. That bowl's in my jewelry box. I was like, I'll be taking this bowl.
Yeah.
And he always wore overalls, and he always wore a pocket watch. Never wore. I don't think he owned a wristwatch. He had probably 4 pocket watches. And one day I sat on his lap until I was way too old to be sitting in his lap. One day I sat on his lap and I was playing with his pocket watch in his overalls. And I said, the only thing I want from you when you die is a pocket watch. That's all I want. So he got up and walked in his bedroom and gave me a pocket watch. And he said, now you don't got to fight anybody over it. There's your pocket watch. So I have that too.
Oh, that's
I have that in his coffee bowl. How bizarre, right? That he pours coffee in this bowl, let it cool, and then pour it back in the coffee so it would cool down the big cup to the temperature he decided was good.
Wow.
That's hysterical.
Yeah,
Too
pretty
funny.
funny. Well, thanks for talking to me about
Oh, it's a heavy
all that
subject.
stuff. It was a
It
little
is
bit
heavy.
heavy, right?
Yeah, it's rough.
It is going to be rough. I mean, we're looking down the barrel of this being the future, right?
Yeah.
With our
Yeah.
parents. I'm not looking forward to it.
It's no fun.
No.
But oh well, maybe it helps somebody else
Yes.
that's listening. Let's go feel like they're not alone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Till next time.
Yeah.